over Philadelphia. In fact, Pro Football Focus, the Cowboys are the second most common Super Bowl pick in the NFC. Dallas. Fun, fluff, fireworks. I don't get it. So what are the 7 things, since I've been doing this show for 20 years, the 7 things that matter in the NFL? Now, I've always said my core 4. Owner, GM, coach, quarterback. Let's add 3 more. O-line, D-line. You can't win if you're bad in the trenches. And weapons. Weapons matters now. It's a passing league more than a running league. Weapons matter. I used to not be as big on weapons, but they do matter. It's why New England deteriorated last year. Their weapons were awful. The 7 things that matter. Let's line up Philadelphia and Dallas. Okay. Owner, I'm not into vain owners. I'll take Philadelphia. GM, Howie Roseman, as sharp as they get. Coach, Doug Peterson's more creative. They both have a Super Bowl, but he's more creative than McCarthy. And I do think creativity is the new norm. Quarterback, we watched at the end of last year with deck chairs and lawn furniture. Carson Wentz beat Dak with all sorts of weapons. Offensive weapons, that's Dallas clearly. Great wide receiving core. Tremendous. That is Dallas plus Zeke. A defensive line, I'll take Philly, Fletcher Cox. Offensive line, should be noted, neither as good as they were 2 to 3 years ago. Travis Frederick's a big loss at center for the Cowboys. Tyron Smith doesn't feel like a 16-game left tackle. Slight edge to Dallas. That's 5-2, folks, and the 7 things that matter. Dallas reminds me of a house with a plumbing issue, and the owners tried to solve it by repainting the house. It looks great when you drive by. Oh, my, Cowboys landscaping? Oh, my God. It's just like the talk of the neighborhood. Look at the landscaping, the lights all over the house, the paint job. Oh, my God. But when it comes to, like, plumbing and electrical and the kitchen and the foundation, I like Philadelphia. That's the stuff that wins in this league, not the landscaping and the new paint job. You go inside the Cowboy house, there's a leak in the bathroom. Lights don't work in the dining room. And 2 rooms don't have furniture. But God, the landscaping, CD Lamb, oh my word. I don't get it. What wins in this league? Owner, GM, coach, quarterback, O-line, D-line, and some weapons. Philadelphia is the best team. They were last year, overcoming massive injuries. It's going to be a very disappointing year in the state of Texas. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
I also picked the Cowboys to win the division.
Well, it's fun
I
to
do
pick
have
them.
the Eagles in the wild card.
All right, so at least there's some respect.
Of course, got to respect it. I mean, what Carson Wentz did last year
Was ridiculous.
I'm going with the Cowboys in the division this year. So the Celtics had a chance to end the series with the Raptors in Game 6 last night, but couldn't close it out. Unbelievable game.
Crazy.
Just pure entertainment.
Right.
What a great game. Toronto trailed in the fourth quarter and both overtime periods, but they were able to force a Game 7 with the 125-122 win. Kyle Lowry led the Raptors with 33 points in 53 minutes.
He played well.
Including a clutch shot to put them up by 4 with less than 12 seconds to go. He did have a huge game. This is the first time since 2009 that a team has avoided elimination in a best-of-7 series by winning a game that went into multiple overtimes.
It may have been the best game yet in the bubble. Just pure entertainment value, craziness.
There have been some really crazy games, but this one was like you could not take your eyes off.
It was wild. Now, I will say this. The last 11 years, Kawhi, LeBron, or a Western team have won the title. 11 for 11. This year will make it 12. I watched that and I thought, this is really fun, but it's not. These are not championship teams.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's always been the West, right? Like, even if we were expecting Giannis and the Bucks to be coming out of the East.
LeBron and Kawhi threw a little wrench, but now LeBron and Kawhi have gone out West.
And they have to eliminate each other.
So it's like, I watch this game and it's entertaining, but in the end...
Well, because you need a superstar, and there's a lot of stars on the court there, but not necessarily yet. Not saying that none of them are not going to become superstars. There's a lot of young players. Yet. They're not there yet. Meanwhile, while they're battling out to a Game 7, the Miami Heat are resting and preparing for whoever's coming up.
Yeah.
But this to me, watching that game last night, I was like, man, This is why in the playoffs, every single moment counts. You let OG Anunoby hit that buzzer beater. We could have gone up 3-0 on the Raptors and essentially ended the series. You gave them life. Now you're in a game 7. Like, you can't, even without Kawhi, they are the defending champions. Like, they still have a culture, still the same coach. They have all the same players. You know, like, that's not a team you can just ignore either way. And it was looking like that. Last second, OG hits that shot. Now you find yourself in a game 7. It was a great game, though.
I'll take Boston game 7.
So Baker Mayfield has not lived up to the expectations of a first overall pick in his first 2 seasons with the Browns.
Yeah.
And even though he's adjusting to his 3rd full-time coach in 3 seasons, he wants to show that he can do so much better.
So, that's a proof, but to be much better than what I've shown in the 2 years prior. Could be an excuse if you use it, but that's not what I'm doing here. So, singular focus on this year and what we can do, and that's the ultimate goal. So, move forward.
While this does feel like the make-or-break year for Baker Mayfield,
has not all been his fault.
It's not all been his fault.
Not all been his fault. I'll defend him on that. He came to a team with bad tackles and a high school football coach eventually by year 2. So I will defend him on that. Now, the maturity thing, grow up. But it has not all been his fault.
But you know what, though? The maturity thing, while I do agree, Baker has done some things that are questionable. Overall, I like Baker's attitude. I like his personality. I think he's kind of been pushed into this space where it feels like he's like tempering it a little bit, but that's fine because you have some things to prove. And sometimes in life, you got to take a step back and say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to focus on me.
Right.
I don't need to talk so much. I'm going to grind it out, and then I'll be able to get back to what I was before. But it's not all been his fault. And had the Browns maybe brought someone in who was a little more steady-handed than Baker at that point,
yes,
even they would have to overcome the dysfunction of the Browns, but it might have been at least publicly different.
Yeah.
I don't hold what has happened in Cleveland against Baker at all. I hold with how Baker has performed against Baker and some of the extra things that he's brought.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a player that could overcome what's happened in Cleveland in the last 3 years.
I don't think he's done himself any favors.
He hasn't. But when you really break down what's gone on in Cleveland,
yeah, I just think Andrew Luck overcame it.
Outside of a veteran, bringing a veteran quarterback in, what rookie quarterback could excel in that situation?
This goes back to my initial criticism. I said, whoever Cleveland picks is going to have to be good enough to overcome their dysfunction. Deshaun Watson, Mahomes are good enough to overcome, not win Super Bowls,
right,
but overcome physically. I don't think Baker is talented enough to overcome his immaturity or the chaos he inherited. Now, I don't think he is, period. I do think offensively now, if he can't move the chains with this roster, it's done. I mean, like 8 games in, if they're not one of the better offenses, you really have to have a hard look at Case Keenum, the backup, who was always my comp for Baker anyway.
Well, I don't know if they'll go to Case Keenum, but I don't know that it's necessarily fair to fully evaluate Baker off of this year, but that's just not the world we live in. Fair's for, Ferris wheels and fried Oreos.
Right.
In reality, you got to do what you got to do and deal with what you've been dealt.
Right.
Realistically, if he had come in with Kevin Stefanski in this new culture as a rookie, it would be a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But he's probably not going to get that extra year because that's how it goes. So the Saints have won more regular season games than any team in the NFL over the past 3 seasons, but they've lost in the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion each time. And as Drew Brees enters his 20th season, he is not shying away from the Super Bowl or bust mentality.
This time, man, I'm on borrowed time. I got nothing to lose. So I'm turning it loose and letting the chips fall where they may. I know that everything happens for a reason, and that in most cases, failure is the best teacher. That's the approach I've always taken. That's the approach this team has taken. And I feel like we found a way to garner strength from each one of these moments from over the last few years. And it's only made us better.
He does make a point, because there's been some rough goes for the Saints, to the point where we were like, all right, guys, like, we got it.
Well, I didn't think they'd be very good last year. My takeaway was, how can you back-to-back years have these gutting losses in the playoffs? I will say this, though.
They've overcome them.
No team has more clarity in the NFL this morning than the Saints. We got Drew for 1 year. We went and got 2 good free agents. They are way over the cap for the next several years. Everybody's kind of playing the long game in the NFL. Even Baltimore. We got Lamar for a decade here. Like New Orleans is like, all our money, all our chips, everything is in on this year.
As they should.
And that kind of urgency often pays off.
And they're returning with the same coach. They're returning with that veteran, future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Big problem, though. Look who's in the division.
I don't know. I'm all in on the Saints this year. I got Drew Brees winning the MVP. I got the Saints in the Super Bowl, losing to the Ravens. I'm actually all in on Louisiana because I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire as Rookie of the Year, too.
All right. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Peter Schrager, Fox NFL reporter. He's fantastic. Also on Sunday NFL Kickoff joining me. We kicked that show off again this year with Carissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Michael Vick. Everybody is on the show, so we're excited for that. And Dave Wannstedt